Hey guys, so welcome back to the second day of my Bookmas series, and this is also going to be part 2 of my study of the symbolism of the gifts in the Chronicles of Narnia. I'll link part 1 down below, so yeah, let's get to this. So yesterday I talked about the symbolism of Susan and Peter's gifts, so now it's time to talk about Lucy's. Now, I actually often forget that Lucy received 2 gifts from Father Christmas, but she did. She got her dagger, which is the one that I would tend to forget, but she does have a dagger. I can't recall any moment in the books when she actually is confirmed to use it, though I'm sure there would be at some point. It's funny, the movie liked to give her little moments where she would use it. Like there's a training sequence when Susan is firing her arrow and they give Lucy an opportunity to practice throwing her dagger, which is kind of adorable and hilarious. And there's another moment in the series when Lucy very emphatically pulls out her dagger and cuts someone's bonds, and I do like that they added that, but because she just has this dagger and never uses it, but it's just, I find it kind of funny because, yeah, the dagger is just there and doesn't really have any usage as far as I can remember in the book, but it's there. And the symbolism here, I think, actually fits well with the fact that the dagger is forgotten, because Lucy Pevensie is someone that isn't often viewed as dangerous or as someone that actually can be a threat. But she is. Like, she's known as Lucy the Valiant when she's queen. You know that she's someone who will actually fight for what she wants. Not necessarily in a I'm gonna pull out a knife and stab you kind of way, but she does fight for what she believes. She's the one who finds Narnia initially, and she's essentially the reason that the other 3 go there. Or at least the reason that the other 3 stay. Or a lot of the reason. And we actually see in The Horse and His Boy that she goes to war with Edmund. She stays with the archers, but she's dressed for war and ready to shoot if she has to. So yeah, she does actually get involved with that kind of thing. And while it's not confirmed that she ever had any suitors, she does seem to be quite popular with all the neighboring royals. So yeah, I can't really say much more about the dagger than that because it's just barely there. But I think it does suit well with a side of Lucy's personality that we don't see very often, but that does occasionally come out. Now, the gift that she's, of course, much more well known for is her diamond cordial, which has the, I'm going to say, healing serum, for lack of a better phrase, which is, of course, incredibly powerful. It saves Edmund from dying, basically, at the hand of the White Witch. It heals all of Reaper Chief's wounds when he's injured, except for his tail, but that's, yeah. I think healing a decapitated piece of your body would be a little bit more extreme than just healing. And she does carry it with her throughout all 3 books. Lucy is someone who is directly associated with healing because it's a healing serum. It's there in the name. Like it's probably the most in your face of all of them, with maybe the exception of Peter's shield. It symbolizes healing. It symbolizes life-giving. It symbolizes restoration to a correct order. And that's something Lucy very much does. She is the first of the children to arrive in Narnia, and their arrival is a major instigation for restoring Narnia from the rule of the White Witch. We see her occasionally breaking up fights. She acts as a bit of a peacemaker at various times. And as much as I have major problems with the movie of Prince Caspian, I do like that the movie maintained that. Lucy still has her healer peacemaker status, which I do really like. You also see how, even in Mr. Tumnus meets her, and when he meets her, he's intending on keeping her in his cave and handing her over to the White Witch. But after spending, like, I think a couple of hours with her maybe, he decides to let her go. And yeah, a lot of that was Tumnus's conscience acting on him. But even so, getting to know her, he decided he couldn't just hand this girl over. So there is that connection with restoration, especially restoration regardless of the difficulties, which I think ties in well with her dagger there. Also, one moment with Lucy and the cordial that I find rather interesting. When she heals Edmund in Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, he was dying. She gave him, I think it was a drop or 2, which is what she was told would heal wounds. And Aslan says, like, okay, well, we need to go help these other people now because they're dying as well. And she says, just wait a minute, like, have I given, just wait, hold on. Have I given him enough? Have I given Edmund enough? And Aslan just kind of says, like, you know, must more people die for Edmund? Because the fact of the matter is she gave him everything she could. She gave him what he needed, and it does save his life instantly. She gave him enough. So, like, that wasn't an issue. Aslan knew that Edmund was going to be okay. But Lucy needed to help these other people, and I think that connects as well with the idea of healing and sacrifice being connected, but also not giving more to a person than you can or than they need, and that's a hard thing to do. Lucy Pevensie is a very warm, open-hearted character, A couple instances that I haven't really discussed with this are in Prince Caspian. You see her interactions with Aslan, which are just absolutely precious. Oh my goodness. But one thing that I note in that scene is that there's a real childlike faith there. And she knows what she needs to do. It takes some prompting from Aslan, but she does choose to stand on her own feet. And you can see the dagger coming out there, but also the cordial, because while she is showing the strength to stand on her own, she's also choosing to act in the way that she thinks will best help the situation and help restore things, which is to do what Aslan says and go off on her own if she needs to. And then the other instance I just want to talk about, and this isn't so much about what she does as much as how she behaves in her general ambiance. Major last battle spoilers here. At the end of the last battle, spoiler alert, like I said, pretty much everyone is dead. And they are now in Aslan's country, which is basically allegorical heaven. But we see Lucy there, and she has, the way she interacts with everybody is just so warm and loving and welcoming. And that it's especially after the horrors of what we've experienced in the earlier parts of the book, because it is legitimately horrifying watching what happens in that first part. Because yikes, oh my gosh. Interacting with someone like Lucy at that point is really nice, because you know you're safe with her. She's very welcoming, and especially for Tyrion, because at this point Tyrion is our point of view character, and he's the one interacting with Lucy here. And they get along so well, and you can just see the tension kind of bleeding out of him as he's like, okay, I'm safe, it's all right. And yes, everyone in the scene is creating this, because it's not just Lucy who's here, it's a whole bunch of people, and they're all kind of helping with this dynamic. But Lucy is one of the main speakers here, and she, I feel, is the one who kind of has the most warmth to that. She also tends to be the most sensitive, I would say, of the four Pevensies, which I think fits well with the fact that her weapon is the one that gets discussed the least and is often kind of ignored, because she is very, very emotionally vulnerable. When Edmund says in Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe that he's going to back her up, that Narnia is real, and he doesn't, she's heartbroken. In the last battle, when Narnia is destroyed, like I said, major spoiler alerts, she's one of the ones who cries for it. She's actually very emotionally intelligent, but she feels pain very, very deeply, in addition to feeling joy very, very strongly. And I think that fits well with the symbolism of the cordial especially, but also the dagger. Now, so we've discussed the symbolism of the gifts. But there is, of course, one Pevensie who did not receive a gift in this scene because he wasn't with them, and that is Edmund Pevensie. Now, Edmund is an interesting character, because he starts out horrible. Yeah, I know some people who really hate Edmund, because he's just so awful when the series starts, and he really is. He's so nasty to Lucy, and he almost gets his whole family killed as a result. But he doesn't in the end. He has a redemption arc that I personally love. He's actually in my top tier of favorite characters from the Chronicles of Narnia. And his redemption arc is largely why, and the way he behaves afterwards. But he, of course, does not receive a gift because he's gone at this point. It's funny, the movies actually give him a substitute gift in that in the second movie, Prince Caspian, he has his flashlight, his torch as they call it, because they're British and I'm not, that he uses throughout the movie. And you can kind of see how they're kind of saying, like, Peter has his sword, Lucy has her cordial, Susan has her bow, and Edmund has his torch, which, okay, yeah, I actually like that change, but he never receives anything like that in the book. It's funny, there's actually a moment in the 80s BBC version of Prince Caspian where you can kind of see the screenwriters were going, we have this scene where all of the kids go find their gifts in the basement of Cair Paravel, except Edmund. What if someone doesn't remember why? Or what if someone is just tuning in for the first time? We need to explain this. So Lucy actually turns to Edmund and goes, Edmund, where are your gifts? And he very sadly says, I didn't have a gift. I wasn't with you when Father Christmas handed them out. Which, okay, it makes sense, but it's just, as someone who grew up with watching these movies, like, in a row, basically, it's mildly hilarious watching the screenwriter basically turn to the camera and go, oh, this is why we didn't have Edmund find his gift in this scene. But anyway, I'll probably talk about that again in a later video, we'll see. Now, Edmund's lack of physical gift, I think, symbolizes a few things. First thing I want to say is that there is a situation where Edmund actually had a conversation with Aslan without any of his siblings. It was the first conversation they had, and we don't know what was said. So there may have been something in that conversation that kind of was a compensation or explained why he didn't receive a gift. I don't know, I can't confirm that. Maybe C.S. Lewis wasn't thinking anything happened in that conversation. Maybe he had specific thoughts on it. In any case, I like to pretend that something important was said in that conversation, because there probably was something important, just not necessarily anything to do with the gifts. I think that probably Edmund's gift, as it were, from that conversation and from this situation is the lessons that he learned from his decision to side with the White Witch. Because he chose to side with the White Witch, and that is the reason, the specific reason he doesn't have this gift. And you can see throughout the rest of the series that he is acting with this knowledge that he received. And again, one of the things that I actually did really like in the Prince Caspian movie was that Edmund is the one who took down the White Witch in that movie, and you could tell it was because he learned from past experiences. You cannot trust her, don't listen to her. Throughout the rest of the series, you can see Edmund struggling with what he learned and what he experienced while he was a prisoner of the White Witch. But one thing that I find really, really interesting, Edmund's moniker, or title, whatever you want to call it, was the Just. He was King Edmund the Just. And he seems to be the diplomat of the group. He's the one who went with Susan when she was courting Prince Rabadash to see kind of what it would be like if she stayed there. And you can see that he was the first one to recognize something is wrong with this guy, with Prince Rabadash. Like, I don't think we should trust him. So the gifts, if you will, that Edmund received, primarily symbolized gifts, are mostly represented with wisdom and understanding. He's a lot more tactful than he was when the book started. He's much more cautious. He can read people much better than he could. And he's just less naive than he was. So yeah, despite Edmund's lack of a physical gift, I think he did receive a gift in that section of the book. It just wasn't symbolized by a physical object that he received from Father Christmas. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. Have a fantastic December. And if you have any questions or anything, please let me know. I'm happy to talk to you guys about it. I will see you probably tomorrow, but we'll see how the filming goes. Have a wonderful December and amazing holiday season. Thanks for watching. See you later.